My name is Samantha, 32 years old, currently the CEO of a financial technology company worth tens of millions of dollars. From an outcast, I climbed to the top on my own. But that journey was not easy, because I was born in a family where love was just a luxury. My mother, Patricia, is an arrogant woman. To her, reputation is more important than anything. I am not her daughter, but a project for her to display to society. My stepfather, Gerald, was even worse. He never considered me his son. To him, I'm just a long-term investment, and if it doesn't bring a profit, he will be ready to throw me away like an expired commodity. My family is a normal family, with a normal family background. It can be said to be the poorest in the neighborhood, but every time I go out, my mother dresses like a tycoon. She is also an alcoholic, always smelling of alcohol. I remember times when my family ran out of money to buy food, but she used more than half of the remaining money to buy just a bottle of wine. Not only that, she is also an extremely superstitious woman. One time, she met an Asian fortune teller on the street. The fortune teller said that I would have great achievements in the future and could change the lives of those around me. From then on, she seemed to become a different person, placing all her money and thoughts on me, as if I would become someone great. Even though I'm from a poor family, I always looked like the brightest child. Instead of a proper education and companionship from my mother, I was raised in a toxic way. From a young age, one thing was drilled into my head. You must be perfect, or else don't exist. Everything I do must meet the highest standards. Academic performance must be excellent. Coming in second means failure. Appearance must be elegant and worthy of a prestigious lady. Friends must be from rich families and have status, otherwise I will be banned from socializing. I tried my best to meet that expectation. I studied day and night, got the best grades, and participated in all the extracurricular activities they required. But no matter what I did, I was never good enough in their eyes. Those oppressive pressures made me live in constant fear. I don't dare make a mistake. I don't dare express my true feelings. I had to hide the pain, the fatigue, and the times I wanted to break down. To survive, I must wear a perfect mask. And just like that, I gradually lost myself. When I was 18 years old, I passed into Stanford University with 80% scholarship. I was extremely happy, thinking that my mother would finally be proud of me. But I was wrong. Stanford? Are you kidding? Only Harvard is worthy of this family. My mother screamed as if I had just committed a terrible crime. I tried to explain that Stanford is one of the top universities in the world, that I won an almost full scholarship. But she didn't care. To her, if it's not Harvard, it's not worth a penny. My stepfather smirked. He never liked me, but this was his chance to eliminate me from the family without finding a reason. You disappoint your mother. If you can't bring honor to the family, then you are no longer our child. And so I was kicked out of my house that night, in the middle of a winter storm. I just have a suitcase, some cash, and no one to turn to. I wandered the streets, tears rolling down my eyes. I can't believe that my family treats me like that. I went to a close friend's house, but her parents didn't let me in because they were afraid it would involve my family. I had no other choice. I had to rent a cheap motel room in a shabby neighborhood. The next months and days are hell. Money quickly ran out. I have to do it waiters, sales staff, even cleaners to live day by day. I used to starve, drinking water to hold back his breath because he didn't have enough money to buy food. I was kicked out of a boarding house because I couldn't pay the rent in time. Every night, I lie huddled in a cramped room, wondering why I ended up in this situation. But no matter how miserable I am, don't give up. After working as a coffee shop waiter for a while, I found it by chance a special customer. That is Mark Benson, a successful businessman. He overheard a conversation between me and a colleague where I was talking about passion for business and finance. He looked at me for a moment, then asked, "Do you want to learn more about investing?" I nodded immediately. Mark became mentor my first. He didn't give me money, but he taught me things schools never teach. how to analyze the market, smart way to invest, how to build a business from zero. I spend every spare minute to learn and practice. When the new school year started, I received a scholarship and life began to change significantly. When I entered college, for the first time in my life, I breathed the air of freedom. But that freedom comes with extreme confusion. I don't know who I would be without pressure from my family. I don't know how to live without suffocating expectations. I feel empty. But then, I met people who changed my life. They don't look at me as a project or a tool. They saw me as a human being, with flaws, with dreams and fears. They taught me that I have the right to be wrong. I have the right to fail. And most importantly, I have the right to live for myself. I started building my life in my own way. I chose financial technology, not because anyone told me to, but because it was something I truly loved. I work day and night, not to please anyone, but to prove to myself that I can succeed on my own terms. And finally, I did it. Now, when I stand at the top, I no longer need recognition from anyone. I don't need my mother to be proud of me. I don't need my stepfather to acknowledge my worth. I found myself again, and that's the most important thing. If someone asks me, what helped me rise from the abyss? I would say it's because I made a choice. Choose not to let your past define you. Choose not to let others control your destiny. Choose to become the strongest version of yourself. And if you're reading this, I hope you will do the same, because you deserve a better life. You deserve to live happily, strong and free. Stand up and reclaim yourself. After 3 years, save up enough money to open your first startup, a financial technology startup. At first, no one believed I would succeed. I have no qualifications, no connections, no strong capital, but have will. I work 16 hours a day, constantly developing the company. I learn from failures, improve each product, and gradually dominate the market. When the companies start making profits, I don't stop. I expand scale and call for capital from investors, and after just 5 years, I became a self-made millionaire. From an outcast, I became the CEO of a company worth tens of millions of dollars. I bought it again, a luxury villa, much bigger than my stepfather's house before. I have proven that no one can extinguish the fire within me. One Saturday morning, I was relaxing in the living room when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and standing in front of me were Patricia and Gerald, those who abandoned me in the past. My mother calmly walked in like nothing ever happened. We always believed that you could do it. We helped you become stronger. Gerald also nodded, looking around my luxurious villa. It's nice to see you succeed. But you know, this success is thanks to our strict teaching style. I laughed coldly. They didn't come here to apologize. They come to ask for money. They want me return the money they invested in me for the past 18 years. I looked at them, my heart filled, spitting. Do they think I'm still the weak girl from before? They don't know that. I have been preparing for this day for a long time. What do you two want? A return on investment? Fine, but I also have some bills for you two. I'm not at all surprised seeing Patricia and Gerald show up at my door after all these years. I've thought about this moment, imagining countless different scenarios. But now when facing them, I am no longer in pain, no longer angry. I just see hideous. We need to talk, Samantha, my mother said, sipping her tea as if she were still the mistress of the house. Gerald nodded, look around with a calculating look. You did really well, really impressive, he said. But you know, this success doesn't just happen. We've invested in you for 18 years. Now it's time for you to give back. I laughed, a sarcastic laugh. Repay? I raised my eyebrows. Do you two really think you have the right to ask me for anything after all you've done? My mother calmly took out a stack of papers from her handbag and placed it on the table. I picked it up and glanced through it. This is one detailed list about everything they invested in me for 18 years. Private school tuition, $250,000 USD. Extra classes, summer camps, extracurricular activities, $75,000 USD. Living expenses, food, clothing, 150,000 USD. Total, $475,000, not including interest. Finally, they asked 20% annual profit from my company, because according to Gerald, we are family, and a family always supports each other. I put down the stack of papers, crossed my arms, then took another folder from the drawer, my accounting list. I flipped through each page, then looked up at them with a faint smile. If you two want to work it out as a business transaction, fine, but I also have some bills to pay. I pushed the stack of papers towards them and began reading each entry. Cost of living alone at age 18, after being kicked out of his house penniless, $10,000. The loans I had to take on to survive, $20,000. The days I had to sleep on the cold floor and starve because I didn't have enough money to eat, priceless. The humiliation, the insults, the contempt you two gave me. No amount of money can compensate. I looked straight into their eyes. My voice was cold. You two said you invested in me. So I ask again, who kicked me out of the house when I needed them the most? Who turned their back when I was in a dead end? If you two want money, go to the bank and borrow it. Because from me, you two will not receive a penny. My mother turned pale. She stammered something, but Gerald clenched his fist, trying to regain his composure. Samantha, don't act so childish, he said, trying to control his tone. After all, we are family. Don't you want to see your mother live in difficulty? I burst out laughing. Family? I repeated, looking straight into their eyes. Families don't throw each other away just because of an admission letter. Families don't use each other to make money. You two were never my family, and I have no obligation to you two. My mother put the teacup on the table, her hands shaking. You have changed, she whispered. You become a cold and emotionless person. I nodded. Yes, and I thank you too for that. After being rejected by me, Patricia and Gerald started one media campaign. They posted tearful posts on social networks, saying that they had sacrificed everything for me, but I abandoned them when I succeeded. They contacted old acquaintances, fabricating stories that I is an ungrateful child, that I forget those who raised you. But they did not expect that. I also have my own story. I no need to say anything. People who have seen what I've been through started speaking up. An old teacher comment. Patricia, have you forgotten? You yourself bragged that you taught Samantha a lesson when you kicked her out of the house. An old friend post. I still remember the day Samantha was evicted from her house without a penny. Now they come back and ask for money? It's ridiculous. A former employee of Gerald's disclose. Gerald once boasted that there was no way his stepdaughter could succeed without him. Turns out she did, and he came back to take advantage of her. Story exposed. No one believes their story of suffering anymore. They don't just suffer socially alienated, but also lost all reputation in the business world. Those who once respected them now only have contempt. A year later, I heard from Gerald bankrupt, and my mother was kicked out of the mansion she once proudly boasted about. They tried to contact me again, but me don't pick up the phone. I was decisive. I won, but me no need for revenge. Life is automatic. Give them back what they deserve. I continue to live my life, free, strong, and no longer haunted by the past. And for the first time in years, I really felt peaceful. I thought everything was over, but it turns out Patricia and Gerald don't give up so easily. They are lost fame, money, and now them hopeless. And the desperate will do everything to cling to one last ray of hope. And that ray of hope, it's me. 2 months after they were exposed on social media, I received a letter, not an email, not a message, which is a handwritten letter, was sent to my company office. The handwriting is so slender and familiar that it makes me shiver. My dear daughter, I know you're still angry with me. I know you have your reasons for not forgiving, but I only ask you one thing. Please give me a chance to correct my mistakes. You're wrong, Samantha. Mom realized it too late. But if you still have any feelings for me, please meet me once. I stared at the letter. She's not that type of person accept defeat. If she comes back, it means her. Still calculating something, and I want to know clearly what it is. I met Patricia at a luxury coffee shop where I often meet partners. Not because I wanted to welcome her kindly, but because I wanted her to see how far have I come. When Patricia walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. No more luxurious looks, no more designer dresses or shiny high heels. Instead, it is a haggard woman, her clothes wrinkled, her face clearly showing fatigue. "Samantha," she called softly, her eyes full of hope. I just took a sip of coffee and said nothing. "Are you still fine?" she asked, trying to speak. I put down the cup and crossed my arms over my chest. "No more beating around the bush. What do you want?" Patricia blinked, as if she didn't expect me to be so frank, but then she sighed, his face full of pain. "I lost everything, Samantha. Gerald left me. He ran away with the last of his money, leaving me with dozens of debts. Now I have no one left, except you." I leaned back, observing her like a stranger. "So what?" I asked, my voice devoid of any emotion. "Mom, I need your help." She swallowed, her voice trembling. "Just a little bit, enough for me to get back on my feet." I smiled faintly. "Like how Mom helped me when I was 18? Patricia pale. "I'm sorry, Samantha, I'm really sorry. If I could turn back time, I would never do that." I was silent for a moment, pretending to be thinking. Then I tilted my head and raised my eyebrows. "So if you could turn back time now, what would you do?" Patricia blinked. It seemed confused. "What do you mean?" "If you really had a chance to make things right," I said slowly, "would you be willing to risk everything to make it up to me?" She hesitated. I see that clearly, because Patricia was never truly apologetic. She doesn't want to make things right. She just wanted a way back. "One road, I will never open it. I'll help Mom," I said, "but on one condition." "Any conditions are fine." Patricia nodded immediately. I smiled. "You have to confess everything. Publicly. In all media. About how you kicked me out of the house. About how you intentionally destroyed my future. About how you wanted to take advantage of me the moment I became successful." Patricia's face pale. "What?" she stammered. I tilted my head, feigning innocence. "Mom said she wanted to make things right. This is the chance to do it." She trembled, eyes constantly moving back and forth as if looking for a way out of this situation. "No. Impossible." "Then don't expect anything from me, Mom." I tore up the check right before her eyes. Patricia panicked. She rushed forward, trying to grab the piece of paper, but I was able to throw it into the coffee cup. She sat down in her chair, her face pale. "Samantha, I can't do that to Mom." I stood up, put on my coat. Mom did that to me before. Only this time, she got exactly what she deserved. Then I turned and walked away, leaving Patricia sitting there in the middle of the cafe, completely devastated. After that meeting, Patricia disappeared from my life. She no longer has any power. No more fame, no more money, no more anyone to take advantage of. The confession I want. She never dared to do it. But it's okay. I don't need her to admit it anymore. Because the truth was so clear. She dug her own grave. And me no need to do anything more. I continue my life, free, successful, and happy. For the first time in many years, I no longer feel any burden. This game, finally, I am the winner. I thought it was all over. I thought Patricia would give up after being exposed by me. But me underestimated her. She does not accept failure easily. And this time, she decided to play a most reckless gamble. 3 weeks after my last meeting with Patricia, I received a lawsuit. Plaintiff, Patricia Bennett. Defendant, Samantha Bennett. Reason: failure to fulfill financial obligations to parents. I gasped when reading the content of the lawsuit. Patricia is trying to sue me for not supporting her financially. Is she crazy? I threw the file on the table as I sat in my lawyer's office. Ethan, my lawyer, shrugged. Legally, in some states, parents can sue their children if they can prove that they have supported them financially for a long time, and now they are in trouble. But your case is quite absurd. I laughed sarcastically. She kicked me out of the house when I was 18 years old, and now she wants me to support her. Isn't that ridiculous? Ethan nodded. Exactly. But this shows one thing. She is hopeless. Shortly after the lawsuit was filed, Patricia started going to the media to cry and tell stories. She appeared on a morning talk show, her face full of pain. I am a single mother who sacrificed everything for my daughter, she sobbed. I worked tirelessly to send him to private school and participate in extracurricular activities. And now, he abandoned me like a stranger. I almost spit out my coffee when watching that video. Does she really have the guts to say that? She sacrificed everything. She worked non-stop. When? When she spends lavishly on designer handbags? When she pushed me out of the house because I didn't get into Harvard? When she tried to destroy my future? And of course, some people believe her. Samantha is ungrateful. After all, it's still her mother. Why don't you help? Young people today are really too selfish. Comments appeared everywhere on social networks. I clenched my fists, so angry that I couldn't sit still. Patricia is trying to manipulate public opinion to put pressure on me. But she forgot one thing. I am no longer that stupid 18-year-old kid. I didn't respond immediately. I leave it to public opinion boiling, so that criticism is everywhere. Then, when the time is right, me deliver a fatal blow. I hold an exclusive interview with the largest newspaper in the country. During the interview, I don't cry, don't complain. I just give evidence. She said I owe her. Look here. I put the photos on the table. Image, I was kicked out of the house at 18 years old. Image, Patricia's messages cut me off. Proof, she wrote a letter asking Northwestern to cancel my scholarship. Is this what a mother who loves her children would do? Then I took it out another document. And here are her debt papers. A long list of loans for luxury purchases and wasteful spending. These funds are not for me, but for her. Reporter gasped when I saw the pile of documents. I continue. I'm not an ungrateful person, but I'm also not a stupid person to be taken advantage of again. The interview was posted, and it was completely upset public opinion. Those who criticized me before turn over right away. I was wrong. Patricia is truly a horrible person. Samantha rose from nothing. Why should she support someone who ruined her life? Patricia is such a good actress, but now no one believes her anymore. Exposed in the press, Patricia cornered. Her lawsuit was immediately rejected because there is no legal basis. She completely lost support from public opinion. People who once sympathized with her now despised and shunned. And the worst thing for her, there is no one left for her to take advantage of anymore. Gerald abandoned her. Friends shunned. There's nowhere left to cling to. Finally, she really fell into poverty. And me, I don't feel pity. Because of her, create this outcome for yourself. A few months later, I returned to normal life. My company is growing more and more. I continue to invest in my scholarship program, helping students in difficult circumstances. One day, I received another letter from Patricia. Not a letter demanding money, not a threatening letter, which is an apology letter. But this time, me don't read it. I just took the letter, walked out onto the balcony, and let the wind carry it away. Patricia was lost opportunity to correct mistakes a long time ago. What about me? I won, and I don't need to turn back anymore. I thought a win over Patricia would be the end of my troubles. But life is never that simple. After all that happened, I realized that what I needed wasn't just revenge. It was a new beginning, a life unbound by the past. The problem is, the past does not let me go easily. After Patricia was completely defeated, I continued to focus on my work and my scholarship program. Everything was going well when one day I received an unexpected call. Samantha? I recognized that voice immediately. Gerald. the man who pushed me out of the house with Patricia when I was 18 years old. We have nothing to say to each other, I replied coldly, but him smiled faintly. There is no such thing as shame or regret. Oh, but I thought you would want to hear it. Brief. Patricia is dying. My heart never wavered. I just kept quiet, waiting for him to continue. She has cancer. I don't have much longer to live. And? She wants to see you one last time. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. After all, did Patricia really think I would come to her bedside, hold her hand, forgive everything? I smiled faintly. Does she remember me when she needs forgiveness? When I need a family, where is she? Gerald was silent. Samantha, she is your mother after all. I hang up immediately. I no longer owe Patricia anything. It took me a few days to think about that suggestion. Should I meet her? Is it true that if I don't go, I will regret it for the rest of my life? But after all, I realized one thing. Forgiveness is not an obligation. And I don't need forgiveness to continue living. I spent too many years fighting the ghosts of my past. Now, I don't need to turn back anymore. Patricia chooses her path. I choose my path, and my path has no room for that bad past. I gradually felt it more relieved. I no longer think about Patricia or Gerald every day. I am no longer haunted by the injustice they caused. I began to focus exclusively on more meaningful things. My scholarship program continues to grow. I expanded the fund, helping more young students overcome difficult circumstances to pursue their dreams. I rediscovered old hobbies, painting, cooking, traveling, and most importantly, I started to open up love. All these years, I've always been afraid of love. I was afraid that I would be hurt, that I would repeat my mother's mistakes, that I would love someone and end up being betrayed the way I was abandoned. But then, Nathan appeared. Nathan was not the type of person I thought I would fall in love with. He is not too rich, not too prominent. He is a literature teacher, a calm and patient man. He loves me without trying to change me. No imposition, no judgment. He pointed by my side, as a friend, a confidant, someone who always believes in me even when I don't believe in myself. At first I tried to keep my distance, but then I realized that loving someone doesn't mean becoming weak. I can be strong and independent, but still, allow yourself to be loved. One afternoon, Nathan and I sat on the beach, watching the sunset gradually fall. He turned to me, his eyes filled with sincerity. Samantha, do you believe in happiness? I was silent for a while. Then I smiled. Maybe. Now I do. I used to think that happiness is a luxury, something I can never have. But now, I know that happiness is not a destination. It's a journey. And me are on that journey. No more fear. No more looking to the past. I don't need Patricia. I don't need forgiveness. I just need myself. My life was stuck in the past, in the wounds left by Patricia and Gerald. But now, I have learned something important. I don't need anyone's forgiveness to live happily. I just need myself. But even though I was determined to move on, the past still tried to come back. Again. One Monday morning, as I was getting ready for work, my phone vibrated with a text message from Aunt Susan. Patricia is gone. I stood still for a moment, staring at the screen. I don't know what I should feel. Not happy, not sad, not relieved. Just empty. Aunt Susan continued. She left a letter for you. If you want to read it, I will send it. I hesitated, but in the end I agreed. A few days later, I received that letter. I opened the envelope, my heart beating slowly. The words on paper are no longer as strong as before. It trembled, as if Patricia wrote this letter in her final days. Samantha, by the time you read these lines, Mom will probably be gone. I know you hate me. I know you will never forgive me. And perhaps Mother does not deserve forgiveness either. But whether you believe it or not, I never stop thinking about you. Mom used to think she was doing the right thing. Mom used to believe that her strictness would help you succeed and make you strong. But Mom was wrong. I don't ask you for forgiveness. I just want you to know that I'm very proud of you. I stopped, clutching the paper in my hand. Proud of me. After everything she's done? After putting me on the street? After trying to destroy my career? After trying to take away everything I built? I don't know if I can believe this or not. The letter ended briefly. Live happily, Samantha. Don't become a mother. I folded the letter and put it in my desk drawer, where I kept things from the past that I wasn't ready to throw away, but I didn't shed tears. I don't need an apology. I don't need belated recognition. I've got my own life. After Patricia passed away, Gerald quickly contacted me. This time, he didn't pretend to care anymore. He just wants money. Patricia left me the property. But there's a big debt, and if I don't help, everything will collapse. I smirked. Why should I help? You can't be that cruel, he shouted. Heartless? He does remember that. Did he and Patricia kick me out of the house when I was 18? He does remember that. Did they try to ruin my life? I don't answer. I hang up immediately. The property that Patricia left behind. I don't need it. Her money? I don't take even a penny. I called my lawyer and asked to disclaim all inheritance rights. I don't want anything to do with Patricia and Gerald. 1 year after Patricia's death, my life changed completely. Nathan and I are engaged. The scholarship fund I established continues to grow, helping hundreds of students in difficult circumstances. I bought a new house, not a lavish villa, but a small, cozy house where I can start. A real family, a family-based love, respect, and compassion. I am no longer haunted by the past. I no longer remember Patricia as a demon in my life. I remember her like a lesson in my ways never wanted to be. One autumn morning, I sat on the balcony, sipping a cup of hot tea, watching the sun rise. Nathan stepped out from behind, putting his arm around my shoulders. What are you thinking? I smiled. About the future. For the first time in many years, I no more looking to the past. I won, not with revenge, not with bitterness, which equals living truly happily. By work proving that I don't need anyone's approval to know my own worth. Your life needs to be in your own hands. After my story, I don't have to tell it so you can criticize or blame your parents. The people who gave birth to us and raised us really deserve respect. But not everyone deserves respect, especially when they gave birth to you and only see you as a tool or insurance in old age. And my parents did the same. Life is not perfect, is it? I hope you will be strong on your path and live a brilliant life. Thank you for listening to my story. Your listening makes me feel so comforted.